if you know my background, I wasn't a good reader. I graduated high school at like a 5th grade reading level. I kind of fooled everyone, the funny guy in the corner didn't know how to read, so he just made more jokes. I got along with everyone like Miss Congeniality and this motherfucker. I'm friends with every club you can think of. I'm in the painting club. I used to paint murals under the freeways. I was part of a program that would paint over graffiti, and we'd paint murals in high school. And so I'd be one of those dudes that paint murals in high school with the school. So those were the kind of like the artsy kids. And then, I was in every club you can kind of think of just because they're friends in their group or whatever the case. Then I was in baseball team. I played on the football team. I played on the basketball. They're still there. They are, homie. They're all there. I know. I get pissed when I see someone trying graffiti over one of those, like, bro, I used to do those. But I used to play on some of the basketball summer teams and stuff and just hang out with the dudes. And so I was friends. I had a big gambit of friends, but in class, so I was always kind of like comfortable trying to be funny and trying to be just like the jokester. But in the end of the day, I never knew how to read. I was the guy that used to count 5 people ahead and try and count the paragraphs. You're like, we're gonna read per paragraph, and you start counting ahead, and you're like, okay, this is my paragraph. And then you start reading as fast as you can. You're like, oh man, don't what is that word? Don't fuck this up. And then all of a sudden, one of these fucking high achieving ass kids reads 2 paragraphs. You're like, bro, you just fucked up my count. So I got to go back and read again. And it's exhausting. It would get so exhausting and so much anxiety that I'd sometimes just leave the class and go piss, or I don't even care if I got in trouble. I just walk out the class because I'm like, I don't care. Whatever that excuse is, I'd rather not be embarrassed with my friends because I can't read any of these damn words. And that's hard to do. It's hard to deal with in life. And so one of my biggest things in life was once I learned how to read, once I worked on understanding what dyslexia was, and I got older, I kind of decided that I know I have a problem with reading. I know words get all fucking twisted in my head. I can't tell you what a B and a lowercase b and a D they'll never have an answer that I can figure that out. I always have to capitalize it first, and then this is just, my head is just works a certain way. But I've learned how to work with that, right? I've learned how to kind of cope with it. And so even when I wrote this book, I told the editor, said, look, I have dyslexia, and I'm not sure what kind of the level of it, right? It's enough that I'm intimidated, and it also, I know I spin my words around, as I also spin my senses around. My thought process is kind of in a twist sometimes when you go to writing. And so when she was editing it, she goes, well, I don't want to mess with it too much because I kind of love that that's how you write. And I'm like, all right, well then leave it. So this book is genuinely almost like having a conversation with me. And I'm not promoting this book in any sense. Like, you don't have to go buy it. I don't care. I've actually made it the cheapest I possibly could for Amazon. And so Amazon sells for like $13. I make nothing off of it. I think I make like, in the end of the day, I think I make like every book bought like 15 cents or something very like ridiculous. So never wrote this to make money. I wrote it to just kind of put my words on paper and feel accomplished about something. And I wrote it in a sense of kind of a transition book, not for just veterans, but just the transitions in life and kind of like the hurdles that we all kind of face in different things. The forward is written by Rocco. Hey, that's just a buddy of mine, so he just did me a solid. I'll say chapter 1, it says transition, the inevitable. And I pretty much talk about how we demonize transition. We demonize the concept of transition, right? We make it as if it's a bad thing. In the military, you get out of the military and people are like, oh my God, transition's so hard. And because we've kind of given it a negative kind of messaging, right? We've talked about messaging before on the podcast. And since we've given it negative messaging, that gives everyone else the anticipation of they're going to face something negative. And so we've kind of created this really dark cloud I've talked about for veterans getting out because they're scared of transition, which is very interesting because if you think on the other side, you have people that get out of the college and their transition is they graduated finally and they can go on to do their career field and they're excited about their transition. So in that perspective, we've kind of demonized our own version of what transition is, and we stopped being honest with ourselves and saying transition is normal. Everybody goes through transitions in some point in life. And we should be excited about change. We should be excited about the opportunity for transition. We should be excited that now we have an opportunity to take all the skill sets we've learned in the military, right, and ball those up and use those in civilian world and see how successful we can be there now, right? In the same time as like college students, they get all excited, like, oh, I'm gonna have a new career. Yeah, because you've accomplished something, and that's awesome. And you've learned things in school, and those things you've learned in school, you're gonna take with you into your next career field. And so when we demonize something that is the inevitable, we've given ourselves a hurdle. And that's part of what I like to talk about in like these mentorship groups and to you guys is stop creating hurdles. Stop being in your own damn way, right? Because think about how human transition is. Uh, we go from crawling, we go from not even crawling, from just sitting there on our back, like, bah, right, to crawling, to walking, to running. That's a transition, right? Like everything we do in life is a transition. So if you start to expect like this is what happens in life, we transition. As we get older, we go from walking one way to another. As your body starts to change, as it starts to break down, you have to transition. Everything is a transition. We're evolving, we're growing, we're dying. And I believe if you soften that blow and realize like it's the inevitable, we're going to transition through all kinds of different phases in our life, and it's okay.